here I am, being a nerd in studio. And sometimes I'm also having fun with my wife when we play out. So I'm a teacher by day, rocker by night. And those two characteristics weave in together for the very topic today, which is composing a song, constructing an atmosphere. If I start talking from an architectural point of view, as an architect, I do more than just draw a house. We try to foresight and foresee a space, not just as four walls and a roof, but what's going to happen in there? What emotion, what energy could take place? What experience can we put into place? And for lack of a better term, we use the word atmosphere. So the feeling and the presence of harmony, beauty, well-being, as paraphrased by Peter Zumthor. Now, when I start to put an atmosphere together, there's really a lot of things to consider. But I want to focus on a few main things that I think will always keep popping up. The first of these would be called a theme. Now, a theme is, architecturally speaking, it's not just a house or a library or an office building. It's really the vibe and the emotion within that gives the space life. So it would not be just a park that we design. We're foreseeing parades. We're foreseeing community. It won't be just a dining room. It's a collection for friendship and camaraderie. That would be a theme for me. Next up would be tempo, a sense of a vibration or a speed or a pace or a tempo timing that gives the space also a sense of life. This could be done by repeating patterns, lights and shade, windows, columns, or even bicycles. The point is that there is going to be a pattern, and you will see this pattern, and you will also be affected by it. Next would be scale. When we say scale, we usually say size, mass, volume, weight. Well, it is those things, yes. But I think it is also the way we relate to these things that make it matter to us. Scale. And finally, texture, which I think is really, really rich. Texture could be material and color. It could be hot. It could be cold, rough, smooth, warm, cool. All these dimensions of attributes that make the sensual experience so enriched and moves us when we move through these spaces. So these four big things for me are the things that make up atmosphere. When it comes to the making of a song, I found that I actually approach it in a very similar way. I try to make an atmosphere for a song also. So to try to slowly explain these, I'm going to start using a little tool. So as far as theme for a song, I chose a theme, and I said, I'm going to choose a theme that I think most people could connect with. Probably sometime in their life when they were growing up, when somehow it's just a little awkward to connect with somebody, just a little off to say hi, hello, and you're not so sure if they're going to say hi back, and you just feel a little bit different. And that being tentative feeling, I sort of translated into 3 notes. I used the notes, doo-doo-doo. Those are the 3 notes right there. And I followed it up with even more notes, so we end up with doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. And I started supporting that with minor chords like this. Doo-doo-doo. Depressing, isn't it? I actually use this depressing song for two reasons. One, if I do it right, you feel a little sad and maybe a little beautiful. Or if I do it bad, you'll feel sad anyway, so I win. After a while, I was starting to develop the song, and I said, like, it's calling for something else. It's calling for some balance. And so I started to develop another theme for this balance to contrast the first. And that became not a downward, but an upward melody. Do, 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 do. And I grew it further on with do, 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 do. And this time it had major chords. Do, 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 do. And that started to set a nice balance of two sections. Next up, I had to now work on tempo. Well, I felt like this song is a little fearful, a little tentative, a little risking. And so a very energetic tempo would not really work. Like, that sounds a bit too fast, too frenetic. And if it was too slow, I feel like I'm in a funeral. So I needed to be somewhere in between, and it just felt right when the beat was somewhat close to that of a heartbeat or a walking pace. And so the tempo could usually be seen as a count. And then what I've done is I've sampled something. So that's my tempo, a sort of medium walking pace. In terms of scale, I'm doing quite a few tricks. I have to try to grow the starting seed of the song into something bigger and with a bit more dimension. So here are the two sections I just talked about, the first one and the balancing one. I repeat their structure, starting to give them some length. I even do something with a repeated repeat of a structure to start to give it some more size. And finally, I also have another trick, which you've heard, that echo to give it that third dimension. And finally, with texture. Texture. How do I play with texture? Well, the first one that entered my head was, it's a call for help. It's a sort of anxious song. And so how do I represent something like a beacon? So I'm now using a wah pedal to sound like this. It's not exactly there, but it sort of represents kind of like the pulsing of a lighthouse. So that's one bit of texture. Then I also go from a whisper, where I use the plucking of my fingers. I grow the energy from plucking into strumming. And finally, I use a drive pedal, my last trick, to really make a declaration. Lots of stuff. But the question really comes in, all right, you have all these ingredients, you have all of these steps, will it really work? You guys want to find out? Yeah. So this song is called Unsettled. I hope you really like it. Here we go. the only chance you get. This is your only chance, so listen here. Don't stand so near. They hurt, these little breaths I take. They hurt, my little breath kaleidoscopes of fears and hopes. Insidious evil, I sit, I wait. Insidious evils, can't trust my faith. I feel my blood surrender. I feel my blood surrender. Help me, please. Give me release. Mortal danger, please don't deceive me. Loved stranger, will you receive me? Soon, a little whisper, my little sister, and do me good. Smooth, unsettled feeling, unsettled healing. I wish I could, I could. Soon, a little whisper, my little sister, and do me good, so good. Smooth, unsettled feeling, unsettled feeling. I finally could be understood. Understood. Thank you.